My dad was going through the loft recently and he came across this. It's a first edition 1990 Space Crusade game. This paved the way for a lot of people to get into Warhammer 40k. Now, I used to love doing the Space Marine conversions. I think you call it kit bashing now. So I thought it'd be fun to do some more, make a diorama because I love making terrain. I have a 3D printer, so I'm able to print a lot of stuff myself as well as making terrain the old-fashioned way using rubbish. Now, to do this, I went on Thingiverse, I scrolled through and I found some great bits, and then I came across this. It's a Mars pattern Warlord Titan. So it went from one thing to another, and I decided to print a Warlord Titan. It is enormous. So in this video, I'm going to show you the process of how I made the Warlord Titan. I'm going to show you a few little tips that I use from the joinery world into the modelling. I'm going to make loads of mistakes. I don't know what I'm doing. So please leave a comment down below if you think there's a better way I could do something, which I'm sure there is. So this is part one. This is where we're going to do the legs. This shim piece was printed in two pieces, so it left this line down the middle of it when I joined it together. So I picked up this little cheap Amazon 3D printing pen, cost a couple of pounds. The idea being I could melt some plastic into the gap and then file it off after. As this turned out, it was not the best of ideas and it left a very nasty ridge. So I just put a little bobbin sander into the cordless drill, give it a go with the sander, see how that went. Just bought this little Galaxy Pro rotary tool off Amazon. Comes with limited bits, so let's give that a go and see if that's any better than the drill. It became very apparent very quickly that these bits were absolute garbage, so I reached out to one of my friends, Mark from Peachtree Crafting, and he very kindly sent me all these lovely Dremel bits to try. So first off I tried this sort of flapping wheel, then I realised still I couldn't get the angle that I needed to get the bit out. Then I all of a sudden remembered that I in fact had a Flaxy Chef the rotary tool, so I put that on. Now these Dremel bits are the EZ speed click bits, which make it super easy to change around all the time. So I went to work the bobbin sander, then I tried a bit of sandpaper to help finish it off. I actually went through, tried a few different bits, and actually found this one that I renamed the Tumbleweed, as it looks a bit of tumbleweed. This gave the best finish overall and left it quite clean, because obviously with the PLA it does leave a lot of layer lines still. Now with the toes, you just want to keep track of which bit goes where, because there is about 1 million pieces for each foot. So on the toes, these are this little grid area, which didn't come out very well. So I just printed out some ones that I designed quickly on SketchUp, and I'm going to just use these as a cover plate for the time being. Here I'm just spraying on a bit of adhesive onto some sandpaper and a wooden block, and then it'll stick down. This just gives a nice, easy, flat surface when I want to sand the toes flat in a minute. Next up, we need to glue all the toes and feet together. So to do this, I'm using O3A adhesive super glue. This becomes in a thin, medium and a thick, which is quite handy for this sort of thing. And also they actually have some little fine applicator nozzles for getting into those really small spots, which is really quite handy. Now, I only noticed after the fact, after I've done 2 or 3 toes, there's in fact 2 different sizes here. The middle one is slightly fatter, the outers are slightly thinner, so you should really, as always, dry fit everything to make sure before you're sticking it with super glue, because it's a bit of a pain in the bum to get off afterwards. Now we're doing a quick dry fit of the foot here. Now this is because it's going on a diorama, so I am going to use steel pins to pin it all together later on. Now this part of the shim was another bit where the file was indeed corrupt, so I actually designed that myself on a 3D platform. To fill on all the layer lines, I use this Ronseal wood filler, just because I had it lying around. I thought, see how this would act. Once it was dry, I got the tumbleweed back out and sanded it all nice and flush. Now this is what they say the importance of dry fitting everything is. As you'll see in a second, I stick it on. It's in the wrong place, so I have the joys of trying to prise it apart to get it back in the right place after the fact. Next up is priming, so I'm just using a bit of tape here on a bit of card so I can hold multiple pieces down at once. I'm using this high build, high coat grey primer, so it helps adhere to the type of PLA. Now when spraying, make sure you're wearing a mask, you have correct ventilation. Now I know I'm inside here, but I do have an extractor in the room. Always you just want to go with light coats. I'm going to do 2 coats. So to apply the primer, I'm just using a cheap airbrush, again from Amazon. I'm using the Vallejo primer and some airbrush flow improver also. Again, I don't know what I'm doing here, I'm making it up as I go along. Now I also know that FDM is not ideal for printing miniatures and stuff, but these pictures of the squat shows you what can be achieved on the Creality 3, Again, I'm not great at painting, these are my first attempts. So there we have, the legs are now all in primer. I've still got to work out how exactly I'm going to paint them. Next stage is we need to mould them into shape to where we want them to go on the diorama. Now I am going to do LEDs in it, I'm going to do some smoke. Anything else, please leave a comment down below. Any other ideas? I need a lot of help with this, as you can imagine. So thanks for watching, stay tuned and subscribe for part 2.